Hey guys, we're over a week into January, and that can only mean one thing. That's a lie. It can mean many things. But we're not dead yet, and that means that I've got to go back to counselling tomorrow. Yeah, I know. Me? Who'd have thought it? But yeah, it's something I've been doing. I did a year of it in 2015, and then my course stopped, and I didn't get back into it, and 2016 was lousy. So I've found another one. I've had 2 sessions so far, but then it was Christmas break. Anyway, the point of me telling you all this, apart from just massively oversharing, compared to what comes next, that's nothing, is that I'm going to be filling in, live, my Core 10 screening measure thing. It's a questionnaire, basically, that helps them chart your progress from, like, crazy to not crazy, or crazy to crazier to suicidal. Okay, so basically, lots of tick boxes. The options are not at all, only occasionally, sometimes, often, or most or all of the time. And I have real problems with these things. I often find myself second guessing. You know, how can I tell whether something's sometimes or often? It's difficult, and I think they take that into account. But I always get worried about getting it right. So they say to just do it, you know, first answer that comes into your mind. I felt tense, anxious, or nervous. I'm going to say often. I think definitely tense. I felt tense lately. I felt I have someone to turn to for support when needed. That's a difficult one, and it's especially a difficult one for me to do on here, because I know I do have people to turn to for support. But at the same time, it often doesn't feel that way. You know, the way that my head works. I'm going to say sometimes for that one. I felt able to cope when things go wrong. Not a lot's gone wrong, but a few things have, and I'm going to go for sometimes. Actually, sometimes is... I'm going for sometimes, it's maybe pushing it. I end up doing a lot of 3s on these things. Talking to people has felt too much for me. That's a definite sometimes. I've had real kind of... I was at work on Friday, and I basically couldn't talk to anyone. It was awful. I felt panic or terror. That's not really one for me. Not at all. I don't like this one. I've made plans to end my life, and I haven't. You know, I can tell you that I haven't. That doesn't mean I've not had the thoughts, though, you know. I'm going to have to say no, but, yeah. I always feel that one's a bit disingenuous. I've had difficulty getting to sleep or staying asleep. That is number 4, most or all of the time. I felt despairing or hopeless, often. I felt unhappy. That's most or all of the time. Unwanted images or memories have been distressing me. That doesn't really happen much for me, fortunately, only occasionally. So there's my Core 10. Actually, because I go to a particular counselling, they answer a lot more questions. They ask a lot more questions. Kind of repeats itself, but, you know, I think it's worth doing. I've got my PHQ9 and my GAD7, so, you know, strap in, guys. Over the last 2 weeks, how often have you been bothered by any of the following problems? It's not at all, several days, more than half the days, or nearly every day. Little interest or pleasure in doing things. It's kind of a 2 at the moment, more than half the days. Feeling down, depressed or hopeless, that's nearly every day. Trouble falling or staying asleep, that's every day. Feeling tired or having little energy, yep, that's most days. Poor appetite or overeating. Yeah, let's just... feeling bad about myself, or that I'm a failure and have let myself or my family down. Feels like a 3. I'm sorry, this is one of the worst ones I've ever taken. Trouble concentrating on things, such as reading the newspaper or watching television. I'd say more than half the days that's been an issue. Moving or speaking so slowly that other people could have noticed. Generally that's not a thing for me, but I've kind of found lately when I'm out sort of doing the shopping, I'm really kind of, yeah, struggling to put one foot in front of the other, so I'm going to go for a several days on that one. Thoughts I'd be better off dead or hurting myself in some way. Again, it's a tricky one to admit on video. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. It's a 2. It's more than half the days. So that's That's lovely. Over the last 2 weeks, how often have you been bothered by any of the following problems? Feeling nervous, anxious, or on edge? I'll go for several. Again, it's not really. Not being able to stop or control worrying. I'm going to go for a 1. It doesn't happen very often. Worrying, per se. Worrying too much about different things. A 1. Being so restless, trouble relaxing. That's a 2. Being so restless, it's hard to sit still. None. Becoming easily annoyed or irritable. Fuck. That's a 3. That's feeling afraid as if something awful might happen. I don't really. Yeah. Yes, am I currently taking any medication? Yes, still citalopram, just like the first time we spoke. Citalopram, 40 milligrams. Yeah, I'm still employed full time, not on sick pay, and not suitable for employment support. Phobia scales. How much would I avoid social situations due to a fear of being embarrassed or making a fool of myself? That one's kind of a 3. I think I usually go for that because it's not a massive issue. Certain situations because of a fear of having a panic attack or other distressing symptoms. That's not something that bothers me particularly. Certain situations because of a fear of particular objects or activities. Well, yeah, I would markedly avoid those. Again, that question's kind of meaningless for me, but I'm sure it works for other people. So, finally, the final bit of the questionnaire. Work and social adjustment. People's problems sometimes affect their ability to do certain day-to-day tasks in their lives. To rate your problems, look at each section and determine on the scale provided how much your problem impairs your ability to carry out the activity. Work. If you're retired or choose not to have a job, blah, blah. How much does it impact my work? I've got to say definitely. For reasons I don't want to go into right now, yeah, definitely. It has definitely impacted it. I'm still basically doing my job well, but it's... Yeah. Home management. Cleaning, tidying, shopping, cooking, looking after home children, paying bills, etc. Again, that's a definite. Social leisure activities. How has it affected that? Well, I've not gone out on several occasions where I could have done. So, markedly. Private leisure activities. That's kind of a 3 for that one. I'm finding myself quite often... Maybe that should be a 4. Yeah, it should be a 4. I quite often have to put stuff down just to stare into space for a bit. Family and relationships. Form and maintain close relationships with others, including the people I live with. Markedly. Yeah. There we go. So, yeah, there's my... I don't know. Did that help anyone? Just getting an insight into me, into that kind of process? Because that's the standard kind of thing that you'll be asked to fill in if you've got depression issues and go to see a GP. They'll ask you to fill in those, just so they can get an idea of where you're at on the scale and that kind of thing. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know if enjoyed is the right word, but either way, I'll see you tomorrow. I've hopefully, if I make it to the sorting office in time, got an exciting unboxing for you. I'll give you a clue. 10 t-shirts!